Welcome to another session of our X2 CRM user training series. My name is Tom Carroll, and I'll be leading this video today. And in this session, we're going to be going over some of the ancillary features of X2 that help you in your main use of the CRM, as far as when you're working with contacts and leads and accounts. We're going to talk about email and how that fits into the system. The docs and the media modules we're going to be talking about. As far as the fullness of this session, we're going to provide an overview of email. Again, get into the docs and the media modules and how those work and how they fit in, and how those modules interrelate to all the other modules, which is very important. And we'll also talk about the topics module, which is a great little feature that is overlooked many times, but can be very productive as far as your use of X2. So let's get started. As we've talked about before, when you log into X2, you're presented with your dashboard and you can get access to different data within the system. And across the top, you get access to the different modules within X2. Well, let's talk about emails and how that fits into all the different modules. First of all, when you do an email, if I go into a contact and I'm in a contact detail record, I have the opportunity from here to email this contact. I can do that by clicking over on the left-hand side, and it pops up the email template or screen by which to create the email. I can also access that by clicking on this email icon over on the right-hand side. If I click on that, the same pop-up is going to come up. And also, if I click on email, I'm going to get that too. So those three ways will get you to this email pop-up where you can create your email. Now, notice that up here, I've defaulted to my email address, but I also potentially could have other addresses that I could send from. Now, X2 utilizes your own email address, and your admin will help you set up that address in the system. We do all the creation of the email and get it ready to send out, and then if I click the send down here, that's where it's going to then hand that email off to your email provider to send out the email. Now, to set up the email, if I go over here where my username is and hover over the name, I get a drop-down menu. And if I click on Manage Apps, this is where you can set up passwords or set up different systems in the different applications within the system. And one is email. So for instance, we use the Google Gmail in our systems, and I have my email set up. Now, set up an email is very easy to do. You select the type of email you're going to set up. So if I'm going to set up a new Google email account, I would click on that, and I would click on Add New. And I'm going to fill in the top half of this information. The name is simply what you want to name it internally to have it recognizable to you. You could have it private or public. If you make it public, then it's available for others to send out as you, which can be useful. So you want to keep in mind that may be the way you want to go as far as public or private. The owner is going to be me. And then sender name is where you would put in the name as you want the name to show up on the email to send out. And then you put in in this case, your Gmail address. This is my address here at the company. Then you put in your password. Now in this case is the Google password. It's not the X2 password, but it's the Google password. And then once you do that, don't worry about the IMAP configuration. That's automatically done for Gmail. You click on verify credentials, and it will come back. If it's all correct, it'll come back verified. And then you click on save. and it will then show up. If I look back at Manage Apps, it will show up just like this in your system. And you can make it the default. If you make it the default, then when you're in that contact, it will show up. If I do send email, it will show up first and assume that's where you want to send it from. Again, you can choose other ones if you have them available, but it will default to the one that you want to send out. Now, in addition to setting your email address, the system also allows you to show your inbox within the system, your Gmail inbox, your Outlook inbox. And nothing is set up in my system right here. If I click to configure it, it's very simply done. You can give it a name. Typically, you could say my inbox or Tom's inbox, what have you. You point to the email address that you want. And again, that will be the Google address. And then a couple decisions. Do you want to auto log outbound emails? In other words, that when you're sending to somebody, that contact we just talked about, do we want to make sure we record that? Typically, that's always going to be set. Now, do you also want to auto log inbound emails? So if Juan is going to send an email to me, do you want that to also be reflected in the system? If so, you would click that box. And I'm not going to worry about this disable quota operations. If you want it copied to the sent, you can turn that on also. But the first two are the key ones that you want to do. And once you create that, here's what it looks like. This is a system that has one of my email addresses coming in. So you've got all of your email addresses here, email messages here. You have different folders, just like in Gmail. You see all mail. You can see what has been sent, see the spam folder, what have you. And notice too, you can have multiple different inboxes here. This is really handy if you work, say, in a group environment and maybe you have a shared inbox that you want messages to come to and have different people have access to that. But this, again, a key area here is if you have your inbox set up, it does allow incoming to be recorded over with different contacts. So you can make that decision whether you want to have your inbox or not. So that's what we do as far as setting up of email and what's important as far as thinking about how emails are handled. Now, when you do bulk emailing, that would happen in the marketing module, and we're not going to go into that in this session. But if you're going to send out numerous emails at a time, you may not want to use your own email server because, for instance, Gmail is going to limit you to the number of emails you might send a day. So you might want to use some of the higher volume emails systems like SendGrid or MailJet or things like that. So that's really an overview of emails. Once it's set up, it's simply going to work for you, and you don't have to worry about any of the other details. Now, when we popped up the send email box, notice there was a area here for a template and a custom message. X2 allows you to create standard templates that can be used in these emails. For instance, if I click one of them, this is a very simple one, which is a very simple message. But those templates are created in the Docs module. In this case, I'm going to access the Docs module under the More button. And if I go into Docs, notice I can create a document, I can create an email, I can create a quote in the Docs module. Now there's the Docs module, and then there's also a media module. The difference between the two is the Docs module is internal documents. You can create documents here within the system. Again, you can create templates for emails. You can create templates for quotes. But those are all internal documents that are part of the system. The media module is going to hold external files, maybe PDFs that you want to bring into the system and use later on, or JPEGs, images that you want to use. So that's a difference, and we'll talk a little bit more in just a few minutes. But let's look at that email template creation. If I click on Create Email, it's going to bring up our template editor. Now we have two different editors. One is our more expansive, responsive email editor, which has a lot of different features, allows you to break up the email in different sections and put different information in the different sections and images and those types of things. And we also have a basic editor. This is the CK editor that you might be familiar with even other systems. And it's very straightforward as far as building templates. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the basic editor, the reference guide, which you can access. If I hover over here and click on Help, that's going to open up your reference guide in another tab. And you can find out more information about the responsive email editor in the reference guide. So I'm not going to go into that in this particular session. But a few key things here. To start things off, you would give a name to the document. So I'm just going to call this training template. I can make it public or private. Public would make that template available to anybody else using the system. If I want to just keep it for myself, I can make it private, or I can associate it with user groups. But I'm going to just make this public. Don't worry about this over here as far as the redirect URL that has to do with creating things for the knowledge base. Now you can specify a particular send to, but typically you're going to leave that blank, and it's going to be then when you pop up that email form in a contact, it will fill in the to based on that contact. You can create a subject, which will stay then with the template. And then down below is where you create the body of that template. And it's free form. If you click into the form, you can begin to type to create that template. And X2 allows you to use the concept of attributes to bring in the data from different fields. So for instance, we're going to send an email, I'm going to create this to be used in the contact module. Maybe we want to start out our email by saying, fill in the first name to personalize this message. So this will bring in the attribute, and once this email is utilized, it will fill in that name. Excuse my typing here. And you can have whatever text you want. I'm not crazy about just using Times Roman, so I can change fonts, maybe an Arial font, change the size. And the attributes can span even more than just contacts. You can actually reach across into other modules. Notice we told it we wanted to focus on the contact module in creating this particular template. So it's going to grab first name from that. But you can also get attributes from different modules. For instance, maybe you want an address from the account module that's associated with contacts. You can insert images into the template. So maybe I want to put an image right down here. I can click on image. I've already have our logo uploaded. I'm just going ahead and insert that. So I put that into the system. Now I can continue. I can also have a signature that can be utilized. That signature you would put in your profile. and that's where you would establish your signature, and it would pull from there and bring it into an email template. But there's several other things you can do within the editor. I'm not going to get too much deeper into that, but you have some standard formatting of bolding and italicize, underscore. You can create links within by, so I want to make that a link. So I highlight it and I click on link, and I can tell it what URL I want to link it to. For instance, maybe I want to go to our website. And that we'll put the link, and notice it turns it into blue. And when the person receives the email, they can click on that and it will be redirected to the X2 website. And there's several other formatting things I will do. I'm not going to go into it in this particular session, but feel free to play around with that and experiment. But once I have this finished, I'm going to go ahead and create, and that template is now available to use later on. So it gets saved in the template sections, template folder of the, there's my training template that I talked about, or that I just built, and it's now available to use. So if I go over back to the contact that I was working with and click on send email, there's my template. It's going to bring it in. Notice it says Dear Juan, the link is there. My subject is put in, and now I could just hit send and send this email out. It's ready to go. Now, in addition to creating email templates, it can also create quote templates. And I'm just going to touch on this a little bit. We'll go into more detail when we go over in a session on quotes. But it's the same editor that we're talking about. The whole idea here, though, is we're going to provide a template by which the quote information that we create is going to be dropped into this template to create a nice looking quote to be sent out to your prospects. If I do just create docs, this is just going to create a simple document, not designed necessarily to be sent as an email, but you can create documents which also can have attributes inserted into it, and those can be filled in. So that's how docs work. You can import documents, and you'll notice that down here is where those would be held. So you can bring those into the system for later use. And you can export docs out if you want to. So that's a quick overview of what the document module is all about. Now, if we go over to media, you'll notice it looks a little different. This looks very similar to the standard modules where we come in with the grid view. And I see the different names of the files of different documents that got uploaded into the system. So let's say we've got a PDF that has been sent to us and we want to bring it into the system. We would click on upload and choose the file. And this is going to look at my computer as far as what documents do I want to upload. And I could choose any one of those. Upload, I can add different information here if I want to give it more descriptions and things. And when I upload it, it will be saved here within the media module. And again, it could be a PNG, it could be a JPEG, it could be a PDF. Any kind of document can be put in into the media module. Let's see if I just pick one. Well, let's just go ahead and pick that logo file. Notice there's different information that we can keep track of for this file, and that can become very handy. And you actually can change this and add different information that you want to. And you can associate how these different documents have been used. It will keep track of all of that, just like any other module. So that's where the media file comes into play. And one of the ways it gets utilized, if I go back to again, my contact, and I bring in this hidden fourth column that we've talked about in a couple of sessions. One of the things it's going to show are files that have been uploaded into the system by different people. In this case, we don't have very many, but there's that logo that we brought in the system before. Now, one of the ways it can be utilized, I'm going to move this up a little bit. If I am going to send an email, notice at the bottom of this email form is a little paperclip where I can attach files to this document to be sent out as an email. Well, one of the things I might want to do is pull a file that's already existing in my media file into that system. All I have to do is drag and drop. And I can also add additional files, but if I click on the paperclip, it's going to go to my desktop just as before, and I can bring a file in from my desktop. So I can pull files from the system, or I can pull files from my desktop and have them part of the email. So that's how the document module comes into play and how the media module comes into play and interacts with the other modules within the system. And these are very important as far as the functions that they play. And it's also very easy to use them to do what you need to do. Now, the one other area that I want to talk about in this session is the topics module. This is something that doesn't necessarily get utilized very much within X2, but can be a very useful tool. What topics is all about is it allows the user to create a topic that then could be shared amongst a user group, could be shared throughout all the users, or it could be just an individual utilization. I've created a couple of topics within the system. One is system enhancements. This is a real nice tool where you post comments that can be seen again by a group of people or by all the viewers within the system. And it can be a shared communication vehicle. And in this particular one, system enhancements, it's a place that as you're working along and you have ideas of how the system could be better, you could post a comment into the system whatever you want it to be, and they can be tracked along the way, and you can see. And so, very quickly as you're going along, you find out, gosh, this would be nice if something happened in another way, or wouldn't this be a great feature? You can pop that into the uh, topics area and can have a running record of that. And it will also say who entered that at one point in time. And you can go back and modify it too. If I want to edit that, I can do that and you can have as many of these topics as you want. You might have a project going on and you create a project topic, and this is where the group who working on the project enter all of their information into here. And so again, use of the module. You can also relate it to, notice up here, I have a relationship button. I can relate it to some other entity. So maybe I do have a project and I've created a custom project module where I'm keeping track of the different projects we're doing within the company. That project could have a topic related to it. And you'd see that when you're in a particular record, and you can bounce to that topic at any point in time. You can also apply a tag to it. You can pin the topic, so that makes it more important. One of the things I utilize in our internal system is essentially a notes topic that I just use myself. So I kind of make a weekly note topic, and it keeps me on top of things that I need to do. And I can go back and edit and mark that I've done things, and also add additional things that I want to accomplish that week. So again, just a handy little module that can be utilized at any time within the system. So what we've covered today is we have talked about emails, and we've talked about how to set up your own individual email, how to set up your inbox if you want to have emails be coming in and see your entire inbox within the system. We've talked about the document module, how you can establish email templates and quote templates and documents within the system. We talked about the media module where we can hold external files within the system and showed you how we could utilize those. And we also then talked about the topics module and how useful that can be as far as a way to coordinate with groups on different subjects.